This never-before-seen interview with Hilmar Von Campe, former Nazi youth and POW escapee survivor, deals with God versus lies, good versus evil, and how the nightmare of Nazi Germany could be repeated here in the United States and worldwide. Our interview with Hilmar Von Campe.
My name is Hilmar Von Campe. I am of German origin. I grew up under the Nazis. I was a member of the Hitler Youth, and I am a World War II veteran. I thought I was defending my country, and it was a terrible awakening after the war when I came home that I had not defended my fatherland, but I had done the dirty job which Hitler and the Nazis had selected for us. And I began to study, to find out why and how this could happen. And what I found was that the Nazi state was built on lies. And the Nazi ideology and the Nazi philosophy were built on lies. And that Germany went down the drain was because of godlessness. Godlessness means that I do act contrary, or a nation acts contrary against God's commandments, which are for everybody everywhere, whether you believe in God or not. And I have tried to formulate an answer so that what happened in Germany at that time did not happen here again. And it is very disturbing that, in my view, we are very close to the same end. And I shall, during this interview, try to make clear that it is not the actions which are different in every country, but the way to a totalitarian system, and the Nazi state was a totalitarian system, is also built on lies, and that the most important thing today is to define the role of God in human society. And I will explain all of this in this interview, I hope. I was 7 when the Nazis took over in January 30, 1933. For me, that didn't mean anything. But my father was what is here called, he was the head of a county. He was not as here, where you are elected, you were posted by the government. He was a civil servant. And he was asked to join the Nazi party. He refused, and he was immediately fired and was moved to, not fired from his job. They couldn't fire him entirely, and then he was sent to a corner on much less income than he had had. And that was a typical way of Nazi behavior. If you don't do what they want, they liquidate you, or they make you impossible. So we only noticed that we were moved from one city to the other. But saying from what I have learned then was that the Nazis' philosophy divided our family. There were the pro-Nazis and there was the no-Nazis against the Nazis, and my parents were under the no-Nazis. And the Nazis controlled all the media, which was only newspapers, radio, and film industry, and that was the way they indoctrinated the nation. And I was not aware of it. When I was in the Hitler Youth, I took it for granted that it's the government, and there was no doubt in our mind as children. And for my parents, it was the most important worry all the time to have their children not being indoctrinated and taken over by the Nazi ideology. and our parents could not speak to us openly about what was happening in the country, because the Gestapo, that is the secret state police, wanted to get at the parents via the children, who might give their parents up, makes problems for them, since it are harmless and don't know what they are being asked. My father used to listen to a German-speaking radio station from Switzerland, Beromünster, late at night, so that we children might not see it. Otherwise, in the Hitler Youth, we did notice that we were being indoctrinated. Indoctrinated we were by the radios and by the news and by the school. We got the German history being explained in Nazi terms. And for the Nazis and for Hitler especially, his strategy was to make that the big thing where people would follow him. And he was very successful, that very many people thought he would bring glory to Germany, that they were all fooled and lied to. What Hitler said was, you need no more than 10,000 people to control a nation of 80 million people. And he didn't need to make us Nazis, because we were fighting his war, not defending our country. I thought I was defending Germany, and as I said earlier, it was a terrible awakening after the war, and I suppose I'll give you some more examples later on. Just as far as the war is concerned, my father said already in 1943 to my mother, and we got that from her, that you can't wish anymore that we win the war. So he knew exactly where that we were taken over by evil. But we children, I was very happy. I was always afraid that I would be late before and not be able to enter the army before we had won the war. So that was a childish, but that is what I thought. When we were on a train, I was a gunner in a tank, where we called that assault artillery. It was a tank without a tower. There came the news from the attempt to kill Hitler in 1944, and then they gave a long list in the radio of names of generals and of people who were involved in that attempt. And I thought to myself, they were very good German names, and I said to myself, what a pity that they did not succeed. So and that I remember distinctly, which means we didn't like the Nazis, but not so much on the ideology. It was on we didn't like the people. They were impertinent. They thought they knew everything. They tried to teach you everything. And especially they didn't like any they didn't want you to be, you couldn't dare to be of other opinion than they had, or you would have been in trouble. And we had, before our church, we sometimes had the Gestapo, 2 Gestapo agents in front of the church and taking down our names, everybody's names, intimidation, because their purpose was to destroy religion and destroy Christianity. Well, Hitler is known as having said, I have it in my book, I think, that he will wait some years and then he will destroy the churches and the Christians. That was his purpose, and I come to the reasoning later on. So he created a group which is called the German Christians, who produced Christian teaching, who produced Nazi philosophy in religious language. So people, dumb enough, followed her, thought that's very good, so he tried to get the Christians on the side of the Nazis. We were told in the Hitler Youth, but even more so in the schools, that they told us, you can pray and sing hymns as much as you like in your homes or in your churches, but in society it is us, the National Socialists, who are in charge, and we determine what is going to happen and what is not going to happen. They had realized, like the Soviet, that a higher authority above the government would be an obstacle to their power plans. So they wanted to get God out of society and the Nazis in. And if I look, if I look at the United States of America, that is exactly what the ACLU is propagating. They are even, these people, these godless people, are even trying to eliminate a reference to God on the casket or of the graves of our soldiers. They did exactly, they have been greatly successful in taking God out of society, out of education, and creating, especially under young people, a complete lack of understanding of what the world is like and what has to be done about it. And I say that, first of all, that the Nazis are not fascists, they are socialists. And as socialists, they are on the same, they come from the same fruit as communism and socialism. And I would say today, the American Congress, House and Senators, and White House, they are closer to the Nazis than they are to our founding fathers. And I cannot understand how the American people can tolerate a thing like this. And I have more examples. The Nazis killed 7 million or 6 million Jews in their concentration camps and 10 million more of others. We kill in our so-called free society, and that is the same in all of Western civilization. We are killing here 50 million unborn human beings, and that we are being represented as a nation by a group of people who tolerate this immorality. I don't have any words for this, that is being tolerated. And I think there is in the Declaration of Independence, in the second paragraph, it states that the government is formed to defend the life, happiness, and of their people according to the demands of the Constitution. And if they do not do that, if they try to liquidate the Constitution, they should be removed by the people, and other people should be put into government who are committed to the reality of our Constitution, and I am on their side. The world consists of people, and all people, whatever their race is, whatever their religion is, whatever their color is, they have the same human nature. And inside of every person, there is the voice of God, and there is the voice of Satan, of the devil. And following the law of, I don't know how you would take it, following the voice of the lie within yourself leads to disaster in the personal and in the national life. And our founding fathers were very much aware when they wrote the Constitution that they had to produce something which made it very difficult to take over from outside or from inside. And and I think there is a statistics about how many of what is in the Constitution comes from the Bible.